man enough to understand and realize mistakes or different things that I've done.
Clare and Dale shared emotional updates with fans about how they're struggling post-breakup. Hey guys, welcome back to another shared news from home. We have the latest updates on Clare and Dale for you. But before we dive into it, if you're new here, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell so you don't miss out on any future updates. And because we are approaching 70,000 subscribers, so hit that button, join the party. We will keep you updated on all things Bachelor Nation. As always, I'm your host, Fiona Zaring, and I'm joined by the wonderful Mariah Davis. Mariah, there is a lot to unpack here, so let's just dive right in. We're going to kick things off with Dale's Instagram Live. He was very, very emotional. I think he shocked the world when he sort of announced their split with that breakup post. And since then, he has, of course, been keeping fans updated. There was some talk with the paparazzi. There were a couple of, statements written on his Instagram stories. But this latest update is certainly the most vulnerable yet. He went on Instagram Live and basically just had an emotional conversation with all of his fans. He tearfully admitted that he was shaking just thinking about the situation. He really wanted to convey to everyone watching that what he is going through is real. That was sort of like the most important thing to him, is to drop the curtain and explain to everyone that behind the scenes he is really struggling. Because I do think that there has been sort of confusion as to where Dale is emotionally throughout this entire thing. He explained that he's always been someone his loved ones can lean on, but he finds himself being the one who really needs support right now. He said, quote, "This has been a learning experience for me as someone who's had to provide for everybody all the time, for friends and family. And if I was hurting, not even having an option to keep going." He continued saying this has rocked him, that he's feeling so many emotions, so much guilt, but also a lot of confusion and hurt. So a lot of emotions going on, a lot to unpack. I truly think this is the most emotional we've ever seen Dale. Obviously, I don't think anyone out there is questioning that this is hard to go through, because at the same time as he's going through a breakup, he's also going through intense scrutiny, right? His intentions for going on the show is coming up. There are cheating rumors. I mean, he's got a lot to process right now. What do you think about what he's going through and how candid this live was?
That's exactly the point I was going to make. It's hard enough to go through a breakup. Whether or not his intentions with Claire were pure from the beginning, they still shared some type of bond together, some type of time together. And it's hard to hurt people. If he was the one who did the hurting, it's hard to be hurt by people, let alone this is all broadcasted for all of us to see, basically. So he's taking on the
Mm-hmm.
opinions of everyone in America who feels the need to share it, and especially those who feel the need to be brutally honest and sometimes unfair and cruel. So, I mean, I can only imagine what that's like, and I don't blame him for just kind of letting all of that get to him, and we're really seeing the emotion come out more so than I think we saw in the show. Post show, any
Mm-hmm.
interview he did with Claire, it's like, okay, so this is really Dale right now, and he is really feeling it. So I can't blame him. I mean, if it was me, if I had to face the entire opinion of society, I'm sure it would really get to me too.
Absolutely. I mean, listen, when you boil down what they went through on the show, what his role was in all of it, he's the guy that the Bachelorette fell for so hard that she gave up her season, right? America was skeptical from episode 1 of their love story. So he has on his shoulders that he's kind of the guy that ruined it for Claire. And in and of itself, remove any other emotion, remove any other behind the scenes fights. That's just a heavy title, I think, to bear. He did open up during this live stream about how hard he and Claire tried to make it work, which is something that I think they've both sort of alluded to in the past. He said they tried
Mhm.
looking for so many answers before all of this even happened on how to make things better. He sort of added that life isn't perfect, they've made mistakes. He owned up to the fact that he's made a lot of them. And he just sort of said that, what his dad would be saying right now is you've got to hurt before you can heal. And obviously, there's a lot of hurt that they both have to go through. Ultimately, I think what I just keep coming back to is They wanted very different things and they moved really, really fast. Claire wanted to like settle down in Sacramento, have a family, have a home, be married. And Dale really was not done with his life in New York City and, the social scene there based on all the reports we've had. So it kind of to me is feeling like as hard as they tried, as much love may have been there, the connection was just, not strong
Yeah.
enough. I mean, what do you make of this?
Yeah, to me, their whole relationship seems forced. And I don't want to sound like another cruel opinion that's being stated as someone who ultimately knows nothing about the two of them and what they shared. But I agree. It seems like that real connection really wasn't ever there. It was like an immediate attraction, and you just want something to work out more than you actually weigh out, okay, logically, realistically, does this work for us? Are we
Mhm.
capable of making this work because do we want the same lives? And that's not the case. I mean, they just simply didn't want the same life. So for him to say we tried a lot of things, like they tried to make it work, well, I feel like you should have known right from the get go if you needed to make it work. When you hear we tried to make it work, that's like a long-term relationship. People who have been together a really long time and they've grown apart, but they were trying to make it work. It's like, okay, well, we're looking at just like a couple months span right now for you to be trying to make it work. It shouldn't be that hard that early on unless your intentions weren't pure from the beginning. I just really struggle with
Right.
Dale going on the show in the first place, kind of selling this love to Claire. Again, I don't want to state that it was um not genuine because I don't know that. But I mean, come on. We're just looking at all the facts here. So it's a weird situation.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. I think when you sort of step back and look at the overarching, all of the information, all of the facts, all of the moments they shared together, like there were a lot of clearly important conversations that were not had. And I totally empathize with Bachelor producers. Those little moments that they showed us of Claire kind of being like, I don't want to go through with this date, or can we wrap this up? Like I get that she fell hard, fell fast, and wasn't necessarily in the position to be able to open herself up to other relationships, but I just keep thinking, had they not wrapped up so quickly, would they have ever sat down and had that conversation? Like could it have all been avoided if during the show he would have just said like, I love my life in New York, and she would have said, well, are you willing to move to Sacramento? And he's like, I don't know. Like there were some great guys that season. Anyways, past is in the past, we can't change it now. He did. I think you kind of touched on this. He opened up about how badly he wanted to be in love. I think they both really wanted to be in love, and just dove into the fairy tale of it all. He says he remembered sitting, praying, thinking, I just want to feel again. I want to fight again. I'm tired of going through things and being alone. He continued explaining, you have these ideas of how things are supposed to go in relationships, what you're looking for, what you stand for. And he said, when you really fall, that stuff goes out of the window. And so I think this is sort of him insinuating that, listen, they fell really hard, really fast. They had blinders on. And, maybe mistakes were made along the way. Maybe they fell hard and fell fast, but ultimately what they were left with was not a strong enough foundation. I wonder to a certain point if this is Dale trying to show fans like I didn't go on the show for the wrong reasons. My intent was never to, lie to Claire or be exactly what she was looking for and then drop her after it didn't work out, knowing that it wouldn't have worked out. I just felt like anyone else can, and then
Mhm.
it didn't work out. What do you think? Is this his attempt to sort of save that part of his image?
I mean, if it was, I wouldn't blame him, especially with how much people rely on social media for like growing in their career or whatever is next to come. So I think it's wise to try and save face a little bit. And at the end of the day, as much as I may disagree with his actions, her actions, how their relationship really even came to be, we're all just humans. We're all trying to figure things out as we go along. And I do believe that he was seeking genuine and passionate, life lasting love. And maybe he did think that he found that with Claire, or maybe getting up in the hustle and bustle of a reality TV show and getting the clout and getting the fame. It was kind of like, well, I kind of want to keep this going because I kind of really like this extra attention and all that this could bring for me. There's multiple different scenarios. And at the end of the day, nobody's going to really know except for Claire and Dale. So I hope that this whole Instagram live situation was genuine. I don't blame him for wanting to try and get rid of some of the heat that he's been receiving and for being emotional. He doesn't strike me as a very emotional person. So initially, I think maybe that is kind of genuine. But then again, we just don't know.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I think there are a lot of possibilities here, and my gut is telling me that he was coming from a genuine place. And I totally agree with you. I think his actions may not have been perfect, but I don't really think they were ever malicious, right? So
Mhm.
it's very interesting to see sort of after the fact how he's processing this, how he's dealing with all of the media scrutiny. He didn't directly address those infidelity rumors that sort of started to float around, which we've unpacked. Ultimately, I do sort of lean into the sources on his side saying that this is a long-term friend. Whether or not she caused problems in the relationship, we'll never know. But obviously infidelity rumors are really tough to bear, especially when you're going through a breakup, especially when, there are two people actually involved here whose feelings could get hurt based on, rumors like this circling the internet. He said,
Man enough to understand and realize mistakes are different things that, I've done. Trying to put pride aside, pray more, and just try to make the best decisions moving forward. So,
he also said, at the end of the day, I think we all try to do the best that we can and make the best decisions that we think at the time. It doesn't mean the right one. So I really do appreciate the fact that whatever he's reflecting on here, he's willing to hold himself accountable to the mistakes he made, how many mistakes he made, how intense of mistakes they were. We don't know, but I do appreciate the accountability. And I'm sure that, wherever Claire is out there, I feel like this would mean a lot to her, the sentiment that he's not trying to be blameless in all of this. What do you think?
Mhm. I agree. I do really appreciate anybody who takes accountability. It's so easy to cast judgment, but we all make mistakes. None of us are perfect. And like I said, we're all trying to figure things out as we go along. This statement does kind of make me question, like, well, maybe he did make some mistakes in regards to remaining loyal, cheating. I don't know. I hope not, because that is just one of the worst things that you can possibly do, especially when your relationship is so public. But this statement it did kind of make me think initially, like, well, maybe there's some truth to those rumors. But regardless, I appreciate anybody who takes accountability and who says, like, I'm not perfect, but I'm trying to be better. I'm always going to try and be better. I'm always looking to improve.
Yeah, I totally agree with you. Dale ended that live, thanking fans for the support that they're showing him. And he also made sure to thank fans for the support that they're showing Claire. He still sort of acknowledged the fact that she's going through it as well. Which leads me to Claire's Instagram live, because not only did we get a really vulnerable update from Dale, Claire went to her socials and gave fans a really candid update about sort of the dark place that she's been in since the show ended and now since they've split. She noted that she considers herself a pretty strong person, which is something that we have heard from her in the past. She's been through a lot. She's been really upfront with the journey she's taken to sort of love herself and be ready to accept love from others. She talked about all of the pressure that she's been dealing with on social media, the horrible things people have said to her, all while, of course, you guys dealing with her mom's Alzheimer's battle and just the general fact that there is a global pandemic going on. And she said that it's really gotten to her. She shared that she's been having panic attacks and struggling with anxiety, and she felt the need to address it with her followers because these are things that everybody goes through. And, her story, her specific journey is obviously to her. But Claire has always been someone that thinks it's sort of important to talk about this stuff and have these conversations. So she kept it real with fans, which I absolutely love. She thanks the people out there who have been sending her messages of positivity, but did say things have been hard. since she is receiving messages that people, quote, would be disgusted at. And I don't doubt that for a second. I think people on the internet can be unbelievably cruel. And my heart breaks to even try to imagine the things that people have said since the show started airing. And honestly, before even that, she said, I was struggling pretty bad and I held it inside for a long time. I think it manifested in other ways. She continued saying, I'm getting to the point now where I'm trying really hard to come back from that and make a U turn because it's a dark place to be in when you've got a lot of stuff compiled on top of each other. I just honestly, it makes me so sad to think of all of the hate she has faced throughout her journey as the Bachelorette. I feel like she has really, really been put through the ringer for so many reasons. I mean, when they announced her, some people were all for the oldest Bachelorette. Other people, weren't a fan, made that known. Then there was the scrutiny of like, how could she fall in love so fast? And now there's the scrutiny of the breakup. I don't know. I feel like she's got a lot on her shoulders.
I feel like in a lot of ways, Claire has just been very misunderstood from the very beginning. I mean, even myself, watching the little bit of her season that I watched, it was kind of hard to see how she interacted with the men and her expectations. At times, I was kind of like, wow, I mean, I'm all for setting your standards high and never settling, but this is just kind of hard for me to relate to. Maybe that's it. Maybe Claire is just kind of hard to relate to. But now that we see all of this come full circle, the start of her relationship to the end of her relationship, it's like at the end of the day, we aren't her. We don't know what trials she's had to face in the past. We don't know the ins and outs of what she's been going through with her mom or what the pandemic has been like for her, and especially trying to juggle a long distance relationship with everybody's eyes on her. So I too feel awful for her that she's had to have such an unfortunate experience as a whole. You know, when you get cast as the Bachelorette or the Bachelor, it's supposed to be really special. It's America saying that they believe in you and they really are rooting for you to find love. And it's kind of like everyone turned on her for the most part. And to receive just like messages that would disgust us, that's just that's makes me so disappointed. And just the human race, like if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. Like please feel free to stay in your lane.
Yeah, no, and this has become with like the rise of social media. I mean, this show has been on for like 100 years, right? And contestants from
Yeah.
the early days did not go through it in the way that these current bachelors, bachelorettes, contestants are going through. The social media scrutiny, the ability to send hate with just a quick DM. It's definitely a whole new unfortunate layer to their journeys on the show. Claire actually concluded her live by sharing that one of the reasons she wanted to be the Bachelorette was to show people her idea of love. And I have to say, I so agree with you. I think it's sort of tough to relate to Claire, tough to sort of get to her level, to understand what she's been through. And perhaps if we had had more time with her, we would have really been able to sort of end up on the same page and sort of like root for her in a way that I think just didn't have time to. And I think that this is sort of telling the way she explains her idea of love and what she was trying to convey on the show. She shared that basically her idea of love is having all of the stuff you've experienced in life, whether it's whatever you want to call it, baggage, experiences. She says, whatever we go through, whatever we carry with us, to show up with it. She said, and to know that you are loved and will be loved by the right person for all that you bring to the table, whether it's the good, the bad, everything that we bring to the table, the right person is going to love you for that. And I have to say, I do believe that she tried to convey that during her short time on the show. She was very candid about, struggles she's been through in her life, struggles she's been through in past relationships, the journey she took to be where she is today, the standards she now sets for herself, like those were very clear at each stage of the game. And I have to say, I do commend that at each stage of this, I really think she was her most authentic self. And
Mhm.
it's sad that someone showed up, was so authentic, and this is kind of how her story ended. I would have loved to have maybe not had her be my favorite bachelorette ever, but at least have her end up in love. It just sort of feels like a shame.
I agree. I think I appreciate when anybody is just comfortable in their own skin and just is their authentic self, regardless of how maybe that is received by other people. You made a point earlier, and you've made it several times just talking about Claire in past videos. If only we could have had more time with her, seen her more on The Bachelorette, then maybe we could understand her a little bit more, why she is the way she is. And I think that may have ended up playing out better in her favor. Like people just like, okay, well, she's herself and this is what she wants. And, she deserves it after what she's been through. But so many people misunderstand because it's like, wow, where does she get off just coming hot and heavy like that at people? I mean, I myself was watching some of the episodes like, okay, let's take it back a notch. Like let's not have this approach to these men because at the end of the day, they're human beings too, like they're not here to fan you with palm leaves, which is kind of like what I was picking up on what she was putting down. But I do appreciate anyone who's just like, this is me. This is what I have. And this is, what I can give to the world. And I do think that she stayed true to that, which I will always appreciate.
Absolutely. I totally agree with you. Couldn't have put it better myself. I think it's going to be really interesting to see, where her journey with love takes her just in general. I don't know that we'll see her on another show, but I am invested. I do want her to find love eventually. And I really hope that she and Dale are able to, just move past this. They're going through a lot right now. Clearly, they're willing to be vulnerable with their followers. So I hope that we, down the line, see them happy, healed, and just ready to move on and find the right people for each of them. All right, you guys, on that note, we want to know all of your thoughts on everything going on with Clare and Dale. What do you think of the sentiments they each conveyed during these live streams? Let us know down in the comments. And if you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell because we promise we will keep you updated. As always, I'm your host, Fiona Zaring. I was joined by the wonderful Mariah Davis. If you want to come say hi, our social handles are on the screen right now. Thank you guys so much for watching, and we'll see you next time. Bye.